亚监会专题讲座《人才永续的考验》，史维校长演讲。活动开始。
We will be inviting President Shi Wei to be our keynote speaker, but before we proceed with the keynote presentation, we'd like to invite Chairperson Shirley Lin to deliver her opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I would like to thank all of you for attending our very first public forum in 2024. My name is Shirley Lin. I represent CAPRI. CAPRI is honored to have this opportunity to work with National Taiwan University to co-organize this lecture. This is also the very first time that we work with the EPIC Foundation, National Zhengzhou University, National University of Science and Technology, National Taipei University of Education, and the National Taiwan Normal University. I would like to thank Jessica. She is our Director of Strategic Planning. She leads a team made up of colleagues from 8 different countries in the organization of this forum. I also would like to thank the Director of International Affairs of National Taiwan University, Mr. Yuan Xiaowei.
CAPRI is pleased to host this event with 5 leading universities in Taiwan and the EPOC Foundation. We stand by our values of independence, integrity, and inclusivity. Therefore, all of our events are bilingual or in English. In the Q&A session, you are welcome to submit your questions in English. 在座的来宾包括国发会的张慧娟处长。
We also have Director Zhang Huijuan from National Development Council and Councilor Lin Zhimei, also from NDC, President Chen Qinghe of Taipei University of Education. We also have a lot of foreign dignitaries with us today. Thank you for your participation. 2 years ago, CAPRI was established at the margins of World Economic Forum as a non-profit, non-governmental, non-partisan organization. We are focusing on public policy research because we want to facilitate the development of a resilient society. We have a board of directors as well as International Advisory Council. As you were entering the Zoom earlier today, you saw a video where our advisors were sharing their expectations for what we want to achieve. Professor Shi Wei, our keynote speaker today, was also one of our international advisors. So is Chairman Daniel Tsai. Professor Shi was born in Hsinchu, graduated from Tsinghua University. He once was a professor and chairman of the Aerospace Engineering Department of University of Michigan. He then became president of Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. He is a world-renowned scientist. My husband, Professor Harry Harden, as well as myself, we once were teaching and living in Hong Kong. We would like to thank Professor Shi Wei as well as his wife, Ms. Shi Yuzhen, for taking great care of us while we worked and taught in Hong Kong. Following the keynote presentation, we have invited President Josephine Zhao of EPIC Foundation to help chair a panel discussion, which will be participated by Chairman Tsai, President Chen Wenzhang of National Taiwan University, as well as our keynote speaker, Professor Shi Wei. And Josephine has been instrumental in facilitating interdisciplinary collaboration between Taiwan, MIT, and UC Berkeley. Chairman Tsai has been committed to public policy and stewardship in Taiwan. 3 years ago, I had a very small dream. I wanted to set up CAPRI, and it was with the assistance provided by Chairman Tsai and the chairperson of the Fubon Cultural and Educational Foundation, Ms. Aileen Chen, that I was able to fulfill my dream. I would like to also thank President Chen Wenzhang of National Taiwan University. He's an outstanding scholar in chemical material. He is a great leader. He has helped establish the International Political and Economic College here at National Taiwan University. We have been working with World Economic Forum, Brookings Institution, National Bureau of Asian Research, as well as India's Observer Research Foundation. We cover public health, innovation, economy, sustainability. We hope that through our research, we can provide policies, recommendations to countries in Asia-Pacific, as well as around the world. We do publish our annual report. You are welcome to take a copy before you leave. Today, the keynote presentation will be on the topic of the challenge of talent sustainability. For university in Taiwan, for the business community here, how can we continue to cultivate talent in order to help push along the internationalization of Taiwan? Our team worked with Zhengzhi University, National Taiwan Normal University, and we have conducted a wide-ranging array of research in this area. Our next event will be held on May 6th, which will be our second annual international forum. And we are already open for registration. And in June, we will invite Professor Thomas Finger to speak on the topic of reducing uncertainty, intelligence analysis, and national security. He used to be Assistant Secretary of State for Intelligence and Research. Without further ado, I would like to invite Professor Shi to begin his presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for your very kind introduction and invitation for me to be here today to talk to you. And I would also like to thank Dr. Chen and Mr. Chai, because we will have a discussion later on. My topic for today is very important. However, it is also very complicated, because no one can say that he knows everything. My topic today is very geographic in nature. It is not something that I can just explain using one method. So today I will follow the instructions given to me by Shirley. I will first talk about my background, and I will talk about my experience in the US and in Hong Kong. I have many friends and classmates in Taiwan. I even have my classmates from my college years here in attendance today. You can listen to my experience. You don't necessarily have to agree to what I have to say, but I do want to share some of my views today. When I was growing up in Taiwan, Taiwan was very different during that time. During that time, Taiwan was actually starting to develop economically. There was very huge changes in Taiwan, and Taiwan was progressing very rapidly. I will give you some examples. When I was about to enter the university, there are several things that I still remember very vividly. First is these three books. And also in 1973, the Cloudgate Dance Theater performed publicly for the first time. Looking back, we can see that the founder of Cloudgate, Lin Huaimin, has retired, and my professor has also retired. Some of my teachers even passed away. I have one professor still in Hong Kong. And we look at the book on the very right-hand side, Huang Chunming. These are the books that we read during that time. This is just a very quick recap of the times when I grew up. it was the time of the 10 national construction projects. We have China Steel, China Shipbuilding Company, and the Taoyuan International Airport. I grew up during that time. So I'm just like to tell you that times have changed. In addition, although in Taiwan during that time, we don't have all kinds of books, we have very limited freedom, we were still able to read many kinds of books. I will just give you 4 books that actually influenced me heavily. Number 1 is The Limits to Growth. It is a very controversial book. Many of the conclusions were incorrect from today's perspective, but it influenced me heavily. The second book is The Lonely Cloud. It discusses the interpersonal relationship from a social science perspective. The third book is Civilization. It talks about the history of the arts. And finally, we have The Age of Uncertainty. This is very meaningful for me. When I was in the military, I actually have pages of this book in my pockets. During our downtime in the military, then I'll just take out the pages and read them. I think that most of our classmates today may or may not know these books. However, during our time, reading these books were actually very pleasurable and enjoyable. In my 2 years serving in the military, we were actually in the military, we worked with machines. I was actually a participant of the 1978 ROC National Day celebration. I was a lieutenant. I commanded 5 M48 tanks. And those under my command were Aborigines. Some haven't even attended college. Some wanted to become actors. It was 1978. It was many, many years ago. We were the model platoon, and we were dispatched to Taipei to perform. We lived at the Guting Elementary School for 2 weeks. And look at this picture. It's very unclear. So we had 17 tanks, and I actually drove one of the tanks parading in front of the presidential palace. It was indeed a very different time. During that time, we were heavily disciplined, and then we were required to act as instructed. This was in 1978, and I retired from service in 1979. So these 2 years in the military is really unforgettable for me. Okay. When I was in senior high school, I was living in Taichung. We had our graduation vacation. Our entire class, we came to Taipei, to Keelung. We went to Yeliu. And on our way back, we stopped by National Tsinghua University in Tsinghua. I was impressed by the university. I went back and told my mom that when I grow up, I want to attend Tsinghua because it was a very beautiful school. My thought was very simple then. I was just thinking that I wanted to attend Tsinghua. It's a very simple thought. And then we got accepted in the mechanical engineering department. After we attended Tsinghua, I found out that during my first 2 years in the universities, I don't like my classes. I found the classes very boring. It's very uninnovative. Therefore, in the first 2 years in my university, I actually didn't attend much classes. during that time, I was in my late teens, early 20s. I wanted to grow up quickly. We had a very small campus during that time. There were only 7 departments, and there were only 45 in our class. We lived in the dormitory until we graduated. So we live with my classmates. And here, this is the Tsinghua Journal. I didn't know that my classmates and some of my dorm mates were here today, but this is the Tsinghua Journal. And here, there's an editorial that is entitled Questioning the Current Educational System. My sister was a student of the First Girls High School, and she had to practice very rigorously for the National 10 celebrations. Everybody thought that it was natural. However, we thought that this is not something that's normal. But we were very fortunate that we had very good teachers. They were very tolerant, and they were very understanding. Therefore, we can say that our student days were relatively light. There was no roll call during class. This book, The Theory of Flight, is also a very influential book for me. I didn't like mechanical engineering when I attended Tsinghua. I wanted to drop out from school because I thought that I couldn't finish the course. But one day, I was in the library and I found this book. This book was this thick, and it's all about math. But I thought that this is a very beautiful book because the author was able to link flight with mathematics. Although none of the theories are correct, but from a physics perspective, from a math perspective, the author was able to connect flight to this kind of sciences. I thought that it was really fascinating. This is also the reason why I later on majored in aerospace. This book, I actually wasn't able to understand everything, but I was inspired by this book. I was fortunate because in my 3rd year of college, we studied fluid dynamics. We studied other subjects, and the teachers were very caring. They were very understanding. They paid special attention to me. Therefore, they had a very important influence on what I did later in my life. I'm very happy to have the opportunity to have met all my teachers. So, I'd like to mention my point. There are several things that I've learned in my university life. Number one, university should be an open platform. As long as the activities are not unlawful, the university should provide space for students to interact, for students to debate, to agree, and to disagree. Today, I think that this is something that everybody sees as a challenge, to have a really open platform where differing opinions can be voiced without any kind of obstruction, because we know that sometimes there is need to be politically correct, and sometimes debates or discussions are not encouraged. Number two, the boundaries of different disciplines are being defined and redefined every day. Because the boundaries change. It's very easy to talk about a specific discipline. However, to talk about the contents will be very difficult. in a university environment, if we want to talk about cross-discipline, it's very easy. However, people have this inertia. They talk about interdiscipline. However, to actually do it would be very difficult. Relatively, it's more difficult. For instance, in aerospace, someone in aerospace, someone is working together with someone majoring in finance. This is an example of interdisciplinary collaboration. Today, universities bear very great responsibilities. This is because universities drive economic development. We want to do well. However, many research have shown, especially in advanced societies, the growth in productivity is not directly proportional to the number of universities. In other words, the more universities we have do not necessarily bring about more economic growth. Many times, research results can become profitable. This is also a challenge because the results of researchers are supposed to be beneficial to the society, but sometimes people tend to value profit more than contribution. Therefore, this will become a challenge for universities. On the one hand, universities should encourage research, but on the other hand, there should also be regulations on research. Otherwise, laws might be violated. For instance, in the United States, there are universities. I have friends in universities who have spent a great percentage of their time in courts because there are legal actions being taken against or against their partners. In addition, we now live in an age where information is everywhere. We are able to communicate with our friends anytime, anywhere. However, despite this, people become lonelier because there's no person-to-person interaction. This is also the reason why I like the book that I mentioned earlier, The Lonely Crowd. We need to think that, we are within a crowd, but we're not actually listening to what people are saying.
So what about the current situation in Taiwan? Well, we all know about Moore's Law. Taiwan is probably one of the biggest beneficiaries of Moore's Law because according to the law, every 18 to 24 months, transistor performance prices will double. So from the 1970s until now, I think we have witnessed something that's quite remarkable. Because it's 10 to the power of 4, to the power of 5, to the power of 6. The industry has been growing exponentially. So semiconductor actually accounts for a lion's share of our total export. However, on the flip side, we have also been negatively impacted by industrial activities. And we really need to pay attention to all the relevant problems and identify possible solutions. Obviously, we also have President Chen Wenzhang of National Taiwan University with us. We often discuss how we can play a role because we are running universities, and how can we play a role to help advance our society. In recent years, new energy has been developing in leaps and bounds. So it almost emulates the trajectory of growth for semiconductor. The same thing can also be said about electric vehicles. As a matter of fact, back in 1974, that's when Tsinghua No. 1 was launched Tsinghua number 1 actually was electric vehicle. It was actually tested on the road. It was well ahead of its times. At the end, it was a flop. It was a failure. But guess what? That Professor Mao Gaowen, as well as my professor Wang Zhixian, they were the 2 leading scholars, and our premier at the time, Mr. Jiang Jingguo, was also invited to witness the launch of electric vehicle. We actually spent a lot of effort trying to come up with innovative technology such as electric vehicle, but we didn't sustain our efforts for long enough. So at the end, we didn't become a major force when it comes to this type of new technology. And this is a satellite. This is what we call low orbit satellite. And obviously, for the past 7 to 8 years, Starlink has become a shining example in terms of development of satellite technologies. And we believe that this is just beginning. We believe satellite technologies will continue to advance. It can make major contributions to environmental protection as well as disaster relief efforts. So, from the perspective of universities, I often say that we need to adopt a strategy where faculty members should be encouraged to engage in curiosity-drawn research. However, universities do not exist in the vacuum, right? Because we are part of the society. Therefore, we really need to work hand in hand with the entire society. And we need to make sure professors, students should come together. We need to put our brains together. We need to engage in brainstorming. And we need to identify the major social challenges of our time. And we should try to identify solutions to those problems. So we need to find a balance between what I put down here, curiosity-drawn effort, and mission-encouraged responses to social problems. So we do research because we are curious. But on our campus, we hope that we can break down all the boundaries between different disciplines so that we can identify good solutions for social problems. Internationalization is very important, but internationalization is not about learning to speak English. We need to understand what are the major challenges to the entire human race. And we used to talk about globalization, but nowadays, people seem to be more concerned about regionalization. I don't know whether this is a good thing or not, but I think there is a role for a university, and that is we can serve as a laboratory. As a matter of fact, I think we should follow our research to the very end. In other words, we shouldn't just engage in basic research. Once we have had some initial success, then we should use university campus as a test bed so that we can try to commercialize our own research result. We should engage in translational research as well. So when I was president of Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, I worked initially with a budget of 50 million Hong Kong dollars, and we built a smart campus out of our university. So all our colleagues, all our professors, students, all our alumni, they are all welcome to work at our campus. For example, this is some of our students, they took the recycled bread and they used the recycled bread as a raw ingredient for brewing beer. And actually, I tasted their beer, and it was actually quite good. I actually treated some of my visitors at the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology their beer, and it's quite nice. And also, you know, there are some non-Chinese people who grew up in Hong Kong, and they were our alumni as well, and they are now engaging in a lot of innovative business ventures. I think we, first of all, need to provide guidance to our young students. They're probably confused for the right reason, right? Because they are young, and we need to be supportive. We need to tolerate whatever confusion they might be feeling. For example, when I was a freshman or when I was a second-year university student, I was at a loss. But my professors didn't give up on me. They continue to support me. So I want you to do the same for my students. I do not want to do roll call whenever I go to a class, because when I was a student, I didn't go to many of my classes, right? So I think we really need to understand that. And we really need to provide our students with whatever support and assistance we possibly can provide to them. You probably have seen this comics before. This is a comparison between 1996 and 1950. Nowadays, in 2016, you don't even need to have clothes because your attitude from head to toe. And back in the day, we wanted our children to quit playing in the playground and come home for dinner. But nowadays, we couldn't get them out of their room because they were spending all their time playing video games in their room. This speaks to the fact that time is really different now. So the younger generation, they have a totally different behavioral pattern as compared to what we used to demonstrate. And I think alumni's encouragement is a direct indicator of the university quality. And we talk about rankings, we talk about how much donation each university received from its alumni. But I think what's even more important is whether our alumni continue to engage with our school. For example, some of our alumni are now principal or president of primary school, junior high school, and some of them obviously have become entrepreneurs. But another portion of our alumni are now working for the government as government officials. So these two gentlemen, Terry and Terence Tseng, they are here today. I'm so touched for their support. They flew all the way from Hong Kong just so that they could give me support. And this is actually Mad Hat is a very popular game. And guess what? This is Taipei 101. And they actually post advertisement on the facade of Taipei 101. They also made a lot of donations to not only victims of natural disasters, but they also made a lot of donations to our school. Their brothers and their father actually was one of our colleagues. But when they were still at the university, their father passed away. They were not a rich family. So our university actually helped them secure a loan. And now they are paying back. And that's what we wanted to do for our students. As long as there are students in need, that's where we will come in to provide assistance so that they can be helped to be on their way to success. And now we are receiving the payback in big time because they, as I said, they made a lot of donation to our school. Here we have DJI. The Chinese name is Dajiang. Dajiang has a very significant market share of drone, probably 75%. And so DJI is a very successful company. And I remember I went to him one time, and I was hoping he could give us some support because we wanted to build a dormitory. And he said, of course. And I gave him, just a figure. He said, no problem. And, well, actually, that's a quite, should I say, exorbitant number. And so we are really grateful. One of our alumni was able to not only provide more support, but they contribute to the physical development of our university as well. Dr. Jack Lau is one of our alumni, a very successful entrepreneur. And he was a co-founder of startup. And as mentioned by Chairperson Lin, they actually recruited a lot of mentors. And they recruited a lot of freshman year, second year college students, and they put them together with the mentors so that young people can be, again, assisted to move along on their path to success. I think we need to engage in brainstorming. We need to engage in innovative thinking. We need to respond effectively to all the social challenges we are faced today so that we can build a better future. Thank you. We would like to thank...
Thank you, Dr. Shi. Next, we will move on to our dialogue. I would like to invite our distinguished guests to the stage. Distinguished guests, you can make use of the QR code to raise your questions. Thank you. I will now turn over the floor to our moderator, Ms. Josephine Chow, who is the president of Epoch Foundation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to talk to our panel of experts. Today, our topic is on talent. Talent are very important because this is very relevant to what I believe. I believe that a society is sustainable because of its people and innovation. Because of this belief, I also started up my own business 26 years ago. Because of this belief, I became part of the Epoch Foundation. And I also started a human resource development plan. My target were college students. I asked them to stay in school for an additional year. And currently, there are more than 3,000 alumni who are scattered all over the world. Some are engaged in academics, some are business persons. In Taiwan, there are around 80 startups that are a direct result of our foundation. Currently, if you are still a college student, I invite you to take part in our program. The program is, well, it doesn't cost you anything, but it will need your full-time efforts. We worked together with NTU in the past because during that time, Professor Chen Nanqi, his research assistants actually took part in our program. And after the end of summer, he returned back to the laboratory. And the professor found that the assistant actually changed. And the professor asked, how come? Because in the past, you always use the best equipment in the laboratory. However, today, now, I see that you're so serious, you're so devoted to what you do. And the student answered, I actually took part in a program, and it actually changed my view of the world. There are also students from MIT, Berkeley, and other schools. I interacted with them, and I was able to learn from them. Professor Chen was surprised, and the Professor Chen came to visit our foundation. And then we were invited to start a short course in this university. However, I would like to admit that our program is not suitable for in classrooms. It's more suitable if you actually put in hands-on efforts. So I would like to invite students or who are interested to take a look at our programs. ChatGPT is actually a very popular application. I often use ChatGPT, and I asked ChatGPT some questions. And ChatGPT told me that the development in human resources can help realize a society's sustainability. And there are 5 important things to focus on. Number 1 is investment in education. Number 2 is technological innovation. Number 3 is policy and regulatory environment and international talent mobility. And number 4 is industrial structure adjustments. And number 5 is culture and values. So this is actually a very comprehensive answer, and I think that ChatGPT can actually be our premier. But we are very focused on what we do, and these are the 5 important things suggested. So what else can we do? That is why we are here today, to talk about our actions and our options. Shirley has mentioned that we only have 3 minutes for each panelist to answer questions. Our audience is smart. They can actually infer from what you have answered. So I would like to start the ball rolling by asking the first question. I would like to ask one of the founder of EPOC Foundation, who is Mr. Daniel Chai. Maybe Mr. Chai has forgotten that actually he was one of the founders of the foundation. He actually did a very good, many good deeds, and he has helped a lot of people within the society. Despite all of this, 30 plus years ago, when Mr. Chai founded the foundation, he was not yet 40 years old. I would say that he was indeed a visionary. Today, there are many young people who are part of our program. Some of them are even over 40. But I would say that this is actually a continuation of the good work started by Mr. Chai. I would like to say that all visionaries are brave. My first question is directed to Chairman Chai. Today, we face globalization. Businesses are also concerned because globalization has changed the world. Today we are in 2024. The globalization today is very different from the globalization in the past. What kind of people do we need today? What are the skills or talent that these people need to possess? Yes, you are very correct. When EPOC Foundation was first created, I was about 30 years. During that time, I had this passion. I thought that if I'm able to link Taiwan with MIT, then it must be a very significant task. I was not very rich during that time. So I asked my father for funds. I told him that if we look at Cathay, at other big businesses, they all donated their money. And my father thought that, we cannot be left behind. And that's why he agreed to help fund my project. It was around 500,000 US, which was a very huge amount during that time. It was 1978. It was a very important year for me. it was the first year where I actually went abroad to study. I was always very healthy, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to pass my physical exam. I wasn't able to pass my physical exam to join the military, so I decided to go abroad to study. When I was in college, including my classmate who is currently President Chai, in our second year, in our third year, our classmates had already planned to study abroad. During that time, most of our classmates, after they finish their military services, they go abroad to study. It's not because Taiwan didn't have graduate institutes, but it was because during that time the faculties were not as good. And when they go abroad, they usually work and study at the same time. However, today we know that when they go abroad, there's a little opportunity to work and study at the same time. Therefore, those years were very different. Today, Taiwan is very prosperous. I would say even too prosperous. So because of this, there's little interest in going abroad to study. What are the benefits of going abroad to study? Well, number one is globalization. Some people say that globalization is dead. Some people will say that it will become regionalized. However, interaction between people, business transactions are actually between countries. It is still part of the globalization process. In the past, we say that we go abroad to work. People are concerned about the language barrier. They go to a place where English is spoken. They need to be able to speak English. They need to be able to adapt to the ways of life. They need to be able to adapt to the local communities. In the past, when people are able to do all of this, they will say that, oh, I'm globalized, I'm internationalized. But today, this is not the case. There are many multinationals in Taiwan. For instance, if we look at TSMC, it went to the United States, it went to Japan. There are also other businesses where they establish branch office in different countries. Therefore, what we need today are people who are not only able to live and work at that place, who are able to manage the workers at that place. This is something that's outdated. This is an outdated mindset. But today we need people who are able to do more than all of this. And this is actually, if we just look at Taiwan, it's not only that people are hesitant to go abroad, there are also very little international news. Everything that we see and touch is very local. We are not exposed to the international community. However, if you go abroad, maybe you can become an employee. However, if you want to become a manager, you become a part of management, then it will be very difficult for you to do so. In the past, over the years, I've often forced myself to read English newspapers because I want to know what's going on outside of Taiwan. I think I have exceeded my time, so I will end my talk right now. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, today we talk about internationalization. People go to different parts of the world. People interact with people from different parts of the world. We look at the presentation of Professor Xu. He showed us 4 books, and I was surprised that I have read these 4 books. I've also went to Tsinghua, because I remember when I was in senior high school, all of the senior high school students were brought to Tsinghua Daxuan to visit the campus to know what Tsinghua is about. I was also a participant in the 1981 ROC National Day celebrations. I was a representative of the universities. So we can say that our collective memories are so much the same. However, the resources that we have are so much different. Today we have presidents of universities in attendance. So I would like to ask our two presidents. First, both of you are from an engineering background. However, when you want to govern a university, you want to become a leader to show your leadership. I'm very curious. For instance, Taida, not NTU, it's a very high-ranking university, and people would say that the university actually pays its staff very well. But my question is different. So we look at the the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology. I'd like to ask Professor Shi, what are the things that Taiwan can learn from Hong Kong? I would like to ask Professor Shi first, and then I would like to ask our president from NTU.
Well, you asked about Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, which was established in 1991. This school has two main characteristics. Well, if you take a look at Hong Kong, we know that originally Hong Kong was a colony, a British colony, as a matter of fact. So most universities are modeled on British universities. So our school was probably the only American-styled university. So the founder of our university recruited a lot of faculty members and professors from all around the world, and some of them actually were from Taiwan. As a matter of fact, those Taiwanese were already on the management team of major U.S. universities. They were quite familiar with the U.S. system, so they brought the system to Hong Kong with them. And secondly, it has to do with the management framework, because there are now 8 public universities in Hong Kong. They don't need to report to the government, which is very different than the situation in Taiwan. President Chen Wen-chang probably needs to appear at the Legislative Yuan to report to the competent authority, but we don't have any kind of responsibility and obligations, because we have a University Grant Committee. This committee sits between universities and the government. So we report directly to UGC, but not to the government, because we are considered to be a grantee. We actually do not receive government funding. Therefore, although we are a public university, but our faculty members are not government employees at all. Therefore, every 3 years, we need to write up a report and submit the report to UGC to ask for more grants. So this is what all 8 public universities have been doing. And upon their review, they will decide how much money they want to allocate to each university. So you need to be able to tell your story, backed up by hard facts. And that's a very important aspect, and that is you need to engage in autonomous management of your school, and you will need to be able to tell your story. There is only a population of 7.5 million in Hong Kong with 8 public universities. So in terms of the ratio to the population, there's huge difference between Taiwan and Hong Kong. Well, if you look at the numbers, here in Taiwan, government has set aside 5% of GDP for education, and a quarter of the educational budget will go to higher education, specifically university. Obviously, the lion's share of the budget for universities goes to National Taiwan University. But we know that there's not enough to go around. So universities in Taiwan, professors in Taiwan, they all want to become more internationalized. But it has to do with the overall architecture, which doesn't lend itself for Taiwan's university to become internationalized. Well, a lot of professors in Hong Kong originally came from Taiwan. And we know that from Professor Shi, they don't need to report to the government, which is obviously a very good thing. Now I would like to go to President Chen Wenzhang. Obviously, we talk about academia-industry collaboration. What do you think we should be doing in order to make sure university in Taiwan will also be more globalized and internationalized? Professor Shi touched upon some of the problems for Taiwanese universities, because we do have a long tradition and we are public schools. So professors, faculty members, we are all considered to be government officials. Therefore, we need to abide by government rules. So still, you need to have 128 credits before you can graduate from our school. And that has been in existence for over 5 decades, and there has never been any change. This speaks to the fact that there are a lot of restrictions imposed on public universities by the government, and that needs to change. And our government is about to make some modifications. Obviously, we need to put in place measures for recruiting and retaining talent. But right now, we seem to be too focused on numbers, statistics, for example. If we want to recruit a talent, nowadays we have what we call Yushan Scholar. And at the National Science and Technology Council, they also have programs for recruiting scholars from overseas. But so far, we haven't been very successful. Simply because you provide a high salary, that's not enough. You also need to provide good accommodation. For example, can you put them up at a good dormitory if they do decide to come back to Taiwan? So we do need to improve our infrastructure. And also, they'll probably come back with their kid, whether or not we have bilingual schools where their children can attend. And what about career path planning? You probably only give them a contract for 3 years, 5 years, but what about 5 years from now? Is there any incentive for them to stay? So when I became president, I thought about these issues a lot. And with regard to students, well, I was given 2 minutes, but Professor Shi had just taken a lot of my time, so I probably can go a little bit over. I don't think we should be too focused on rankings. I'm opposed to the idea that we have to rank universities every year. We obviously are a powerhouse when it comes to electronic and semiconductor industry. That speaks to the fact that we have cultivated a lot of talent. But our electrical engineering and information technology department at the National Taiwan University are only ranked in the 60s. That's simply not fair. We know that every high school student needs to pass the entrance examination to become a university student. So we do have a very good quality. And but right now our international ranking is quite low, and we need to be prepared for the advent of new and more innovative technologies. So back in the day when I was going to school, I couldn't have imagined that for freshmen and sophomore students, 10 to 20% of them wanted to change to a different department because they didn't like what they were studying in the first and second year of their university life. But back in the day when I was going to school, that's impossible. But nowadays, students have a lot of flexibility. They can have a double major. They can have a minor as well. But nowadays, you can probably try and acquire 12 to 15 credits for the second module, what we call second module of classroom activities to become your minor. Quantum technology, encoding languages, those are obviously new fields of study. And a lot of students are interested in those fields. We have a very low birth rate, and what we need is to cultivate people who can learn on them by themselves. It shouldn't be the case where simply because we want to develop a new technology or a new industry, then we need to hire a new team, a completely new team. And that's not possible. Instead, what we need is people who can learn on their own so that they can move into different and new areas if that's necessary. I think my time is up. So just now, President Chen spoke about the need for talent, which can support the development of new industries. Well, for the business community, they often engage in reorganization, right? So now this question is asked on behalf of the younger generation, because in the audience we see at least 40 or 50% of the audience members are young people. We know that Jensen Huang is extremely famous and popular, and he's being chased by journalists all around the world. And he delivered a speech at Stanford, and he was asked the question, how can we become successful like you? How can we make sure we have a better chance of succeeding? So according to Jensen Huang, good students usually work with high expectations. However, simply because you have high expectations for yourself doesn't mean you will be successful, because you also need to be resilient. You haven't experienced enough suffering, so you haven't passed the test. And you need to be able to come back up after you fail. That's how you can become more successful. So what does this have to do with our three panelists? Well, because all three panelists, they are either university president or they are famous entrepreneurs. They're considered to be examples of success. So I would like to put this to you. Have you experienced any suffering? How do you think you were able to become so resilient? Is there anything you can share with us in that regard? Have you overcome any frustrations? Have you felt lost at any point in your life? You didn't believe you had a clear goal?
At the beginning, I mentioned that when I first entered the university, I was at a loss. I wouldn't say that I didn't know what to do, but I don't have any expectations of myself. If you have high expectations of yours, it only means that you have high expectations of the things around you. It is not necessarily about expectations on yourself. I believe that this is something that's very natural. Therefore, this is very much like an athlete, where we need to overcome ourselves. We need to practice, and practice. Sometimes everything will become so smooth going. For instance, starting up a business. Sometimes the entry barrier is too low. Anyone can start a business. There are so many opportunities. However, this may or may not be good. In addition, our surroundings or the children, parents also needs to be needs to take responsibility. Some parents are afraid that their children might fail. They are overprotective. This is, I believe, is wrong. My view is very similar to Professor Shi. People are interpreting what Jason Huang is talking about. My point is that those who have high expectations of themselves, I believe that they are also very resilient. They will not allow themselves to be defeated. I think the media has misconstrued the intention of Jason Huang, because the media is saying that those who are successful do not have high expectations of themselves. Rather, those who are able to suffer, those who are resilient, are those who will become successful. But I don't think this is necessarily all true. Because I do believe that we need to dream, and in addition to that, we need to take one step at a time. I believe that Jason was trying to remind everyone to remember this. How about you? Do you have any suffering while you were younger? Or are there things that we don't know yet? Yeah, because you mentioned this, everybody knows that I'm actually a graduate of NTU. But actually, during my joint entrance exam, I was not admitted to NTU. I was actually admitted to National Tonghai University. So when I went back to Tonghai to receive my honorary doctorate degree, I also mentioned this. But my father was actually very disappointed that I wasn't able to study at National Taiwan University. However, I was able to live on campus at National Tonghai University. For me, it was a very precious experience. So leaving home is not a bad thing. I myself, as a parent, I'm also afraid that my children will suffer. I hope that I can help them. I will be able to bear all of their difficulties and sufferings. But this mentality is incorrect. We know that there is no way that we can avoid difficulties or sufferings. Huang Chenhan is also developing international management personnel. I was in their program for 3 years as a speaker. I often talk about my success stories. I would say that I did this, I did that, and I was very successful. And this year, they came to me again, and they asked me to go back. However, this year, I want to talk about something that's different. I want to talk about my failed experiences. I will not talk about my success. Rather, I will talk about my failures. This is very similar to the Tsinghua No. 1 EV, because many times we encounter difficulties. We need to be resilient. We need to persist. We need to persevere. We need to know that this is our goal. We should not give up, because if we give up, then we will never succeed. I have many unsuccessful stories. It's all because I have given up. Yes, when I was little, the focus was on IQ. When I was working, people focus on EQ. But today, people are focusing on RQ, or resilience quotient. While I was growing up, I was actually learning every day. When I was little, in grade school or in high school, as long as I study hard, I don't have to mind other people. As long as I have good grades, then I was successful. I was a successful student. However, when I attended college, I found out that, oh, I live in a dorm, I have dorm mates, I have classmates, I need to interact with them. In college, because the assignments were lighter, and I found that it's very important to interact with my classmates. Maybe you know that I wasn't a very good student, and I had to take remedial exams for 3 semesters running. However, when I was in the US, I found out that studying alone, being able to interact with classmates is not enough. In my 5 years in the US, I found it very difficult to pass school because when the first time I went on stage to make my presentation, the professor asked me whether I was a graduate student. In other words, he was questioning whether I was actually qualified to be a graduate student. There were many experiments that I failed to finish. I was only able to finish one of my presentation during my oral exam. And I had a very good relationship with my advisor, dissertation advisor, because I finally learned that the professor actually corrected many of my mistakes and errors. Therefore, I would like to say that we have to be appreciative, not only of our parents, not only to our classmates, but also be appreciative to our professors. I am hesitant to become a teacher because I was thinking that what if I was not able to be a good influence to my students? However, when I was an E3 as a researcher, I found out that, oh, there's another level of interacting with people. So until I finally became a teacher, and then I found that, oh, life is indeed very difficult. There are students who are not very studious. There are students who are very diligent. So different kinds of students will require different ways of dealing with them. In the past, we only think about doing our work. But now I am a president of NTU. I would say that, oh, there are other things that I need to consider. For instance, Director Chai, the society at large will look at what I'm doing. The government will also look at what I'm doing. I'm always learning. I don't think that expectations, whether they are high or low, is 100% correlated to resilience, because we live in different environments and we need to continue to improve ourselves within that environment. In the past, we only focus on the task at hand. However, as we expand our horizons, we know that in addition to the task that we have to do, there are also people and also other factors involved. Therefore, I believe that luck is very important. I now have a different mindset. I focus on my work to the best of my ability. However, when I fail or when I am not successful, I will tell myself that, oh, this is actually predestined. I will just accept it. I think this is the difference between us in Taiwan and also Westerners. I would say that if there are things that are inconsistent with our expectations, I would say that, oh, this is predestined. So I don't think that this is expectations, but this is a growing understanding of faith as you become older, as you become more experienced. You know how to deal with difficulties. It has become a model by which you deal with difficulties, and then your resilience will also increase. Thank you very much. I asked these questions on behalf of our students in attendance because I've attended DCARD online, a forum of TIDA students. I found that their anxiety is that once they get into college, they suddenly lost their sense of purpose. Because when they were in high school, their goal is very specific. They want to become a student of National Taiwan University. However, after they become a student of NTU, it feels that they lost their sense of purpose. So, from the discussions, I have realized that this is indeed true, because Professor Shi has mentioned that, also questioned himself whether he should continue. And President Chen also mentioned that focusing on studies alone is not enough. There are so many things to explore. And also the excitement of being able to live in a dormitory. Therefore, if you, as a student, you don't know what to do right now, you don't have to be anxious. Don't have to worry, because you are a resilient person. And just give yourself some time, and eventually you will find your path ahead. And also for the parents in attendance, we need to also look at ourselves. We have to ask ourselves whether we are too lenient or too good to our children. Because parents always say that they want their children to suffer. However, we need to recognize that our children will change, and they will be able to adapt eventually to their surroundings. Next, I would like to spend some time. We still have a few minutes. I would like to offer to open the floor for questions, for Q&A. If we don't have questions from the floor, I still have some questions, and I would like to ask our presidents and also Mr. Chairman. Yes. Yes, I would like you to use your cell phone to scan the QR code, and then you can submit your question to us.
So I will check now to see whether we've received any questions from the audience. Because I lost internet connection a little while ago. That's probably why I haven't seen any questions coming my way. Wow, great. There's a question from one of the students here. Well, there are quite a few questions, in fact. Okay, so now we have a question again from a student. We are talking about universities. So research, intellectual pursuit are very important for college students. But what about skills? Because eventually we will graduate. Once we graduate, we need to work for a living. So this is a question from a student from the Department of Mechanical Engineering of NTU. And you attended a recruitment session organized by the business community. And you realized that only students who graduate from the right kind of department will stand a chance to be recruited by the industry. So you seem to be quite puzzled. What should we do if we find ourselves studying at not the right kind of department? Because you are a student of the Department of Mechanical Engineering. We would think that that's the right kind of department. So I would like to put this question to our panelists. Is that what you go by? You will see which department a candidate is graduating from before you want to recruit him or her? Well, basically, if you attend any recruitment sessions, and you probably are under the impression that what you have learned in school doesn't match the kind of skill sets the industry is looking for. Well, I think this is a question more suitable for the two presidents. Well, Department of Mechanical Engineering of NTU, I think this is a very popular department. So you probably went to the wrong companies to look for a job. Because, for example, you went to companies which were only looking for graduates of the Department of Electrical Engineering or Information Science. Well, I don't think the employer is looking for a candidate that's already perfectly trained. Basically, what we want to see is whether you have the ability to overcome challenges, whether or not you have the ability to acquire new skills and knowledge. So normally, the kind of questions that will be asked would be, how would you rate the professional knowledge a candidate possesses from 0 to 10? Secondly, how would you rate the candidate's ability to overcome difficulties? Question number 3, how would you rate the candidate's ability to work together with other team members? And number 4, how would you rate the candidate's potential? And finally, if the student wants to go back and work in your laboratory again, will you take him back in? And then I was also asked for other comments. So I think those are typical questions the potential employers are looking for. Well, Chairman Tsai also put a question to me because we wanted to set up the International Political and Economic Studies School at NTU. Why? Well, because we believe that political leaders need to be well-versed in new technology, in history and culture, in the concept of sustainability. That's how he or she can become a competent political leader. So that's why we are not just talking about politics and economics. We will be providing training in history, culture, sustainability, and new technologies. So my recommendation for students who ask the question, well, you don't need to worry too much. You need to work with confidence. You need to be able to answer the 5 questions that I just outlined. Then you stand a very good chance of being employed. Well, I work in the financial industry. We have people who do financial transaction, financial trading. So probably people would think we will only recruit people who studied in applied mathematics. But that's not the case, because some of our traders graduate from Department of Social Studies, and one of our vice president graduated from the Department of Political Science. But eventually he became a financial trader. Well, that's because upon graduation, he tried to pick up a new skill. So he went for further studies, and that's how he became an excellent financial trader. And he is actually an excellent manager as well. So the 5 questions as raised by President Chen just now, I think those are very relevant. So in other words, you don't need to worry too much. Intel, Microsoft, HP, these are leading tech companies. And guess what? The Taiwan, their company in Taiwan are led by people who graduated from the Department of History, Department of Social Science, and so on and so forth. I was reminded by our staff the time is up. So this is the final question. I think for the current generation as well as future generation, we really need to pay attention to sustainability. Not only we need to pay attention, we need to take actions right away. So my final question to all 3 panelists, by way of conclusion, what do you think is the one thing that we need to put into action right now so that we can cultivate talent that will prove to be sustainable? So as I was making my way from my hotel to the venue here, I was sitting in the car, and as we were riding along the street, I realized there were a lot of flags being raised on the two sides of the street. And for the entire street, there were a lot of advertisement for, immigration services. In other words, if you're interested in emigrating to other countries, they can help you. Well, this speaks to some of the worries of the people in Taiwan, but this is a very complex issue. I think we need to begin with self-assurance. We need to have enough confidence. We talk about resilience. Well, resilience is not created by being stubborn. No, that's not what we mean. What we need to have is to create a comprehensive, favorable environment for people to be able to work more confidently. So, I think this will require a comprehensive approach among academia, the business community, think tank, as well as the government. We all need to engage one another in constant discussions, and we need to find a way with which we will be able to make incremental improvement to our environment so that our young people will have less worries, less anxieties, and have more confidence. Sometimes if we put too specific an expectation on our young people, then that probably would be putting too much pressure. Well, we save the best for last, so I will speak first. Well, I'm in full agreement with Professor Shi. When we talk about sustainability, it sounds more like a slogan, to be quite frank, because we don't act with a sense of urgency. However, sustainability starts with something small. For example, recently we put out an advertisement. You bring your own lunchbox. You turn off the switch of the light once you leave the room. Something small like that. But so far, we haven't been able to create a consensus so that everyone in Taiwan will be on the same page. Because we all need to understand it's everyone's responsibility to protect the planet Earth. Nowadays, companies need to compile sustainability report, and a lot of indices also have a sustainability component. But I often remind my team, this is not about writing a good report, because nowadays you need to work with consulting company so that you can produce a good sustainability report, and you will be given an award, and that's how you can increase your name recognition. Let me give you one example. For the telecommunication industry of Taiwan, we are actually ranked sometimes number 1, sometimes number 2, or number 3 in International Sustainability Index. This is because we are very good at writing up good articles, persuasive articles. That's why, we are ranked at the top of the world. And I'm talking about DJSI, a very reputable international organization which gives Taiwan such a high ranking. But I think that's a joke. I think right now we are not on the same page yet. We don't really have consensus. But like I said, sustainability starts with something small. There will be a hike in electricity price. Previously, before the election, the government didn't want to raise the price. But now, people are rising up in arms because there will be an imminent rise in electricity price. But I think, for example like that, we need to teach people how to conserve energy, I think our time is already up. We only have 3 minutes left. I'm reminded we only have 3 minutes left. So just now.
Yes, Chairman Chai mentioned social sustainability. In Taiwan, when we talk about sustainability, it's because everything in Taiwan is so convenient. If you want to go to a hospital, you can just go. And if you want plastic, if you want, for instance, use electricity or use water, the fee is very low. Everything is very convenient. Therefore, if you want to advocate sustainability, it will be a little bit difficult. However, when we talk about sustainability of human resources, I have my own view. Taiwan is facing low birth rates, and also people are getting more isolated. There are fewer people-to-people interaction. I feel that I also mentioned earlier that because of the low birth rates, people today needs to be multi-skilled. That is why we mentioned that you have to have your own field of specialization. You need to be able to execute. You need to be able to learn on your own. I believe that sustainability is very important. It can actually remind us to develop talents that are multi-skilled. I always feel that our government and also businesses, when they go abroad to recruit people, they actually need to harbor a mindset that they want to train people in conjunction together with other businesses. And it's not only that, oh, I have the money, please come to me and work for me. No, I think it is more important to tell them, for instance, we want to jointly develop or jointly cultivate talent with, for instance, our international counterparts. In the future, so that in the future, when they go back to their respective home countries, they will be able to contribute what they know. Then this will foster a win-win situation, and this will also foster a cycle of talent. This is my view. It is not like, okay, I need 40,000 people, so I will just try to recruit 40,000 people, and that's it. No, I don't think this is correct, because people will also not agree to this kind of an arrangement. Yes, we talk about sustainability of human resources. It will enable our society to be sustainable. Today, our government is focusing on this, and for instance, schools and the EPOC foundations, private foundations, are also focusing on this. Therefore, I hope that going forward, we can work together to foster the sustainability of human resource development. Thank you very much. Thank you for your sharing. I would like to invite Professor Lin Xiaoru to give us her closing remarks. Thank you, Professor Shi Wei, for your talk, and thank you, Chairman Tsai, and also NTU President Chen Wenzhang. Thank you, Josephine, for hosting the event. Over the past 10 years, I taught at Virginia University, Hong Kong Chinese University, Tsinghua University in Peking, and also National Cheng Kung University. I would like to thank our three speakers for sharing with us their experience. Today is a very special event. I have known Professor Shi Wei for more than 10 years, and this is the first time that I've heard his experience. CAPRI is an international think tank focused on public policy. Good public policy and governance require not just the leverage of new technology, but also innovative thinking. Our goal is to foster a better future. We want to be able to contribute our experiences and our skills to the international community. On May 6th, we will have a second public event. The event will be held at the Songsang Cultural and Creative Park. It is the second CAPRI Forum. You can use the QR code to register for the forum. And for that event, we will invite Mr. James Gilmore, the former governor of Virginia and former U.S. ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. His speech will be titled, Can America Lead in a Fragmented World? The Tension Between Internationalism and Isolationism. He will look ahead to the trends in the U.S., domestic governance, and foreign policy before the U.S. elections. He will discuss whether the U.S. can demonstrate leadership in an increasingly fragmented society. For more information, please refer to the CAPRI website. We look forward to your participation. Thank you.